Hi, I'm Michael Kurash and welcome to Design Santa Barbara. This week we are in Santa Barbara Design Center, joined by noted Santa Barbara real estate broker, Terry Ryken. Terry, thank you for joining us.
Michael, thank you very much for having me. This is a real pleasure.
Thank you so much. I have some questions. The viewers are very interested to know about Santa Barbara real estate, and you're the big man in town.
Oh, thank you very
So
much.
here we are. Let me start with the first question. Tell us a little bit about yourself to begin with.
Well, I was born and raised in the Bay Area near Berkeley, California, a little town called Piedmont, and went to school there, grew up there, went to college in Hayward at the University of California, Hayward. And after graduation, moved to San Francisco, lived there for many years. And I came from a theatrical background in my family. My grandparents were in vaudeville on my father's side. My grandmother used to dance with Gracie Allen before she got together with George, and then they went off to, have a theatrical career, and my grandmother and grandfather raised 8 children, my father being the oldest of the 8. And so it was a wonderful place to grow up as a child. Piedmont was very similar to the Montecito or Hope Ranch of the Santa Barbara area, had large lots, and as a little boy I remember having lots of room to run and play, and had great times growing up.
Wonderful, very good. How did you end up in Santa Barbara?
Well, I had, at the time, was living in San Francisco and had a place in Capitola, and my partner and I had a place in Hawaii, and we wanted to move to Hawaii. And at the time, they had a quarantine there, and we had 2 Boston Terriers. And there was a thing where you had to put the dogs into this quarantine for like 6 months. And I mean, we weren't going to have that. And I looked into seeing if I could smuggle them in on a boat, and found out that, well, if you got caught, it was a $10,000 fine per dog. And I thought, okay, well, maybe we could handle that. But it also came along with a 6-month time in jail per dog. So I thought, okay, well, I guess we're not going to do that. So we decided that at that point we were ready to move. And so we got in the car one day, and we took 2 months, and we just drove up and down the coast. And something kept drawing us back to Santa Barbara. And we went from Santa Cruz all the way down to Coronado, and found a lot of beautiful places, and fell in love with so many areas further down. But had it been 40 years earlier, and this is now going back 25 years, but there was so much traffic and things that something just kept bringing us back to Santa Barbara, and we settled here and never regretted it. We love it here.
It comes up every show that Santa Barbara is paradise.
It really is.
No matter where you go, where you come back, even as beautiful as Hawaii is, you got lucky you didn't move there, to be honest with you.
It really, really is. Hawaii was my partner's favorite place in the world, and he traveled all over, but that's why we wanted to go there. Well, once coming here, we had 3 places in Hawaii. We ended up selling all 3 of them, and just was here at the end. So it's just, we're very, very happy here, and it is paradise.
Lucky you and lucky us. So my next question is, what drew you to the world of real estate?
Real estate, I've always loved real estate. It has always intrigued me, but I have to admit it was my partner who got me into it. He was a very successful businessman. I was in the hair business at the time, did hair and makeup, and had 2 salons in the Bay Area that I managed one of them. And something just kept, drawing me back into real estate. We went and looked at a lot of real estate. Ray loved to purchase real estate. So I finally just went and got my license, and I got my broker's license, and then just started doing a lot of real estate in the Bay Area, mainly through partners of people that I knew, and I was kind of spoiled in the beginning because there were people that they knew exactly what they wanted, and I would broker the deals for them, and everything was fine. And then I came here to Santa Barbara, and I decided to get into it, and I went into it more from the residential side. And it was, I remember coming home one day and being like, I don't understand why these people are having such a hard time making a decision. I was used to people being, okay, this is what I want. We write up the deal, it's done, And but I realized I ended up being a little better at it than I thought, because I'm a people person, and I was able to realize that this is the biggest purchase that some people ever make in their life, and it's a very important decision that they go through, and it gives me such pleasure to help them, achieve that goal.
Very true, very good. So again, come back to the same question. What makes Santa Barbara such a special place for you?
It's magical, and it's beautiful, it's spiritual. When I was, I've been very blessed that I lived in a lot of really, really lovely places. But growing up and even as an adult, I would always say home to me was my parents' home, where I grew up, because they lived in the same home, till they both passed not too long ago. But so when anybody would ask me where home was, it was 11 Downey Place in Oakland, California. When I got here to Santa Barbara, we bought the home. We did it on a fluke. We were here, kind of looking around. We made an offer. We didn't think it would be accepted. We hadn't even sold our home in Capitola, and it was accepted. And it was like, wow, So we went home, put the house on the market there, and we were very lucky. It sold very quickly. And so we actually bought the home in December, but we arrived here in April. And I'll never forget driving into the driveway and walking into the house, and I had this feeling like, oh my God, I'm home. And from that day forth, it wasn't my parents' home anymore. This was home. And one more little added thing, I remember walking into the kitchen. We were fortunate enough in this beautiful home, we had an ocean view. And I went to the kitchen and I looked out. It's the only time I've ever seen this happen in Santa Barbara. And looking out at the ocean, right as I happened to get there, 3 whales breached all at the same time, right out from the kitchen window. And I was like blown away. I mean, I've seen whales breach, but never 3 of them at one time. And it's the only time I've ever seen it ever, Hawaii here. But it was like, this feeling came over me that this is where I'm supposed to be.
That was the welcome mat for you.
Yeah.
Well, great. It is actually true. For me too, I go around the world, and you go even vacation and you're longing back to go home, because it is such a magical place. And you come down that hill from Camarillo, you're like, okay, now I'm home. It's very interesting. Yes, true.
So true, Michael.
So my next question is, what are some important things people should know when buying a home in Santa Barbara?
Well, first, a lot of people...
And that said, good and bad warnings and pat in the back.
Yeah. A lot of it, I do, especially from people from out of town. If you've lived here a while, not so much, but people from out of town, one of the biggest things is sticker shock.
Sticker shock, yeah.
It is a very expensive place to live, but it's worth every penny. It's a wonderful place to live, a wonderful lifestyle. I've been told by people in the medical business that living in Santa Barbara adds 15 years to your life, just because of the being near the ocean is part of it, but just because of the wonderful lifestyle that's here, and it's a very calming way to live. I would say, first of all, in getting ready to buy, we're very fortunate here too that there are a lot of cash buyers. So of course that goes without saying. But if you are going to be getting a loan, that you go ahead of time and get pre-qualified and make sure that all the ducks are in a row. Another thing is to educate yourself about Santa Barbara. I mean, when I first moved here, I didn't realize there were so many different areas. And we were very lucky that even though I was in real estate and a broker and I was representing us as buying side, we met very wonderful realtors who were all very kind to us and took us, I would call them, they had the different listings, and we got educated in, there's the San Roque area, there's Hope Ranch, there's Montecito, there's the Riviera, there's Samarkand, there's so many, and there's Goleta, Carpinteria, there's so many different areas, and the Mesa. And it's funny that whatever the area is, it will call to that person and make it, this is, you just know when you get there, this is the area I want to be. And a lot of times it happens with the house. I've had so many clients that literally will get to the front door and they'll go, you just found my house. And they end up buying it. And it was that way for us when we came here. We looked for a long time, and like I say, when we found this home, we just got to the front door of it, and we just knew this is where we wanted to be, and that was the house.
Especially the whales jumping off, so that you cannot beat.
Yeah.
All right, stay tuned. We have more questions after the break. Stay tuned. There is more Design Santa Barbara after the break. This week on Design FYI, we're going to talk about sofas and the unknown mistakes people make. Did you know average American spends 46 minutes a day in a car? But they spend 5 hours and 4 minutes on average on a sofa. So why would you go out there and spend tens of thousands of dollars for something you use for 46 minutes and then go ahead and buy something cheap that you sit on it for 5 hours and 4 minutes? At Santa Barbara Design Center, we create you a custom sofa that is made for you specifically and to your shape and size and comfort and your family. So when you're sitting and watching TV or talking and conversing with your friends, you're sitting on actually something that represents you. Your car represents you, why shouldn't your sofa? Thank you for joining us on Design FYI this week, and please come see me at Santa Barbara Design Center, 4th and Olive, and let me help you find the right sofa for you and your family.
Welcome to Rugs & More. We provide the West Coast with the most comprehensive collection of new Oriental and antique rugs. Rugs are solid art investments and often become cherished family treasures. Our limitless inventory will warm up your home. Exotic or traditional, tribal or modern, our rugs weave stories through intricate patterns, compelling colors, and touchable materials. #1 in Santa Barbara for over 20 years. Visit us today at Rugs & More, 410 Olive Street in Santa Barbara.
Welcome back to Design Santa Barbara. This week we are joined by real estate broker Terry Ryken. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Michael, for having me.
I appreciate it.
Great, and your store is beautiful. The design center is, I've already found something that I'm going to buy before I leave.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. So we have some questions again, as the viewers are interested in the real estate, and you're the person to talk to, as we know.
Thank you.
So, can you talk about the incredible variety of architecture found in Santa Barbara real estate?
The architecture is amazing here. Of course, being Santa Barbara and all of the, influence of from the Mission and the Spanish and everything, the Spanish style is very, very prevalent here and dominant here. But there are many others. The craftsman is very much a part of it here. Tuscan kind of feel. The contemporary things have come into place. I happen to love all, types of architecture. So it's wonderful for me. People probably get tired of me when I go out on tour and they see me and I'm like, I could live in this house. I could buy this house. And sometimes it's a very modern house. Sometimes it's a very, traditional home. I guess that's why it's good I'm in real estate. I love different architecture, and I truly could live in all those homes. I can see myself, in the different styles. But I grew up in a Tudor home. I have a Spanish style home that I lived in here. I have a very contemporary home in the Palm Springs area. So I have been blessed with living in different architectures as well. But you can really get anything here. I mean, the main ones are, like I mentioned, the Spanish, Tuscan kind of villa feel, craftsman, and contemporary. But no matter what anyone's taste is, we can find it for you here.
Well, the town is a Spanish colonial with the red roofs and is prevalent, after the earthquake, we talk about it many times, is built to look like old Spanish town. But
definitely.
As well as we see, and I do a lot of new homes, that they are, as you said, there's some contemporary, not a lot, but there's coming up, and there is a lot of Tuscans, and so you can find a lot of different things. So what is your favorite style? Why?
Well, like I say, I love them all. Probably, I have a tendency I could live in Buckingham Palace.
Oh, you could? Okay, good to know. I couldn't really. I mean, I cannot have 500 people around me. But
people don't understand how I like big. I don't know. I mean, we grew up in I grew up in a Tudor style home. It was a nice size home, maybe around 3,000 square feet. It wasn't huge, but it was nice. But since then, I've lived in larger homes and I've lived in smaller homes. But I love big. I guess because I am a collector. I could easily live in your showroom here.
You're very welcome. Very welcome to.
I love things. I love to collect things, and I have a tendency to have too many. And so But getting back to your question, I do love the Spanish style. Had a home for 24 years that was Spanish style. I do have a feel for the Tuscan, villa type feel. I also do like contemporary a lot. Like I said, I've had 2 different homes in Palm Springs. Both of them were very contemporary, and so it's just kind of where I am and what what grabs me in whatever area I am. But I would say if I had to choose one, it would probably be Spanish or Tuscan kind of feel to it.
Well, this is a Santa Barbara. You're lucky you're here because that's what the architecture is. So I understand you have some especially stunning homes on the market right now. Can you share one of them with us?
Thank you. I've been very blessed that this last year I did have a lot of listings, 3 of which all sold just within the last month, and 2 of them went very, very quickly. One had been on the market for a while, but it had closed, just this last month too. I have a lovely home on the market right now in Montecito, which is a French-style home, and the client is not only a client, but she is also a good personal friend and a lovely lady who is from Europe. And she has a lot of beautiful art, and the home is just a very warm, feeling. Her grounds are very, very formal, and the gardens are beautiful. It does have a distant ocean view to it, but the lawns and the flowers, and she loves to cook, and there's many of the things that she prepares from the ingredients
garden.
Come out of the garden. It's a lovely, lovely listing, and but it's kind of a twofold thing. She loves living there, and she's ready to move if if somebody were to come in, but if it doesn't happen, she's very happy there too. So it's kind of, but that's the way I am. I love to help people, but I want them to be happy, and so I'm not going to push somebody to get out of here just to make a buck. I want to make sure that the person's happy, and if it's meant to be and the deal comes together and I'm able to, help them move on to the next property, fine. And if it's meant to be that they're supposed to stay there, then if they want me to market the home, of course I'm going to, and we'll see what happens. And there have been times where the person ended up staying in that home, and there was a reason, but I was still happy to be there to go through the process with them. And then there's other times where, I do always, when you hire me, you get 200%. I bend over backwards. It's more important to me to make sure that the person is happy, and I do whatever it takes to make the deal get through. And it isn't about, the money as much as it is about making the person happy. And I know when I've done a good job, and the people are happy with what I've done.
Well, you're successful because of that.
Thank you.
Obviously you're a wonderful personality, and you take care of people. When they're happy, actually the money will follow too. So that's great. That's a great advice as a real estate broker or a great businessman. The same. Very nice. So my next question is, what is the #1 piece of advice you will give to someone purchasing a home here in Santa Barbara?
I guess, like we touched on a little bit, just be prepared ahead of time. As far as like if you do have to have a loan, get all those ducks in a row. Find someone that you feel comfortable with. There's a lot of wonderful realtors in this town. Of course, I want you all to call me, but there's wonderful people that work here, and we all can do the same thing. So it's all about finding that personality that you can work with and you can enjoy and you feel comfortable with and you trust, and they're there to take care of you and help you with your needs. Also deciding on an area. And try to give the agent, whoever you decide to work with, as much information as you can. There've been, in the very beginning, there were many a time people would give me, instructions. I want this type of a house, only in this area, only this. So I would go and find only that. Come to find out, they'd find another agent who sold them a house in a completely different area that's 3 stories high, where they told me they wanted single level and all that. And so you realize that things do change, and you get to the point where you do want to show them everything. Sometimes they'll say, wait a minute, I told you I didn't want a 2-story home. Yes, you did tell me that. But, you know, this has all the qualifications that you wanted all on the floor. And a lot of times people end up buying something that they didn't think they would. So, but it does help the agent if you try to be as specific as possible with what it is you are looking for. Sometimes people don't know. They don't know till they get out there. And I would say, the other thing, and especially with working with buyers, is be loyal. When you find that person you want to work with, be loyal to them, and let other people know when you're going out there you're working with so and so, and you're not wasting the other broker's time who may be having the open house and is looking for business as well, and you're being loyal to the person who has spent a lot of time trying to help you and trying to, you know, help you find the perfect home. And, you know, when you have a listing, there is a contract between you. When you're a buyer, you know, it's more of a trust thing. You have no legal obligation. I mean,
there's no
binding contract, but you know, you hope that this person, you know, wants to work with you, and during that time, if there's problems, let the person know.
Absolutely.
You know, just be honest. More recently, I came across a book. It was called The 4 Agreements, and I'd read it a long time ago, and recently I came upon it again. And there's 4 things that you try to live your life by, and one of them is your word. And it is good to try to communicate with people and be honest and communicate what it is you want.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely
hopefully that helps.
Yeah. It's something that it's a little bit lacking lately, but is a good base to start with. Lastly, I would like to ask you, how can people reach you for more information?
Michael, thank you very much. My website is terryryken.com, and it has all my information on there. So they could just, you know, Google that and it'll bring me up. I do advertise a lot in all the local magazines. So I am online. You can Google my name, Terry Ryken. I was shocked at myself one time. I Googled myself and all this stuff that came up. So it's very easy to find me that way. My website, like I say, terryryken.com. On any of the real estate magazines in town or things, I usually have ads in them that have all my local information.
Beautiful. I would like to thank Terry for this look into the world of real estate here in our paradise, Santa Barbara. Stay tuned. There's more Design Santa Barbara after the break. Stay tuned. There is more Design Santa Barbara after the break. Today on Design FYI, we're going to talk about what not to buy when you're going shopping for rugs. Most big outlets or national chains, they sell nowadays hand-tufted rugs. This sounds like it's hand knotted, it's done by hand, but actually they are not. It's called hand-tufted, and it's actually a gun that rolls the wool around the warp, and they are not good rugs at all. So this is a sample we're having here for you to see. Anything that has a backing like this, flip your rugs over at home, see if it has a backing, is absolutely not good. So what it does is it hides what they did below this thing, which is a latex glue, which actually is toxin. And if you have got any rugs over the net, I hate to say it, over the net, because it's easy to sell and they're inexpensive, you buy these things over the internet. So when it comes to your house, they smell. Have you noticed that? They smell more like a gasoline or more like a diesel because they don't let the latex cure. And the latex that glues this wool to this backing smells a lot. On top of that, they shed quite a lot. The wool is cheap because they need to be inexpensive, and they shed. I would not recommend you to get anything, again, that has a backing and is glued, because it comes apart very easily. It is temporary. It is not a green product because they wear very quickly, end up in the fill, and just basically as a landfill junk we are adding to our planet. The things I would recommend you to get, unlike these things that have backing, is the rugs that they have nuts to them. So as what to buy, I highly recommend you to get some rugs that they are hand knotted. And how you can see, flip it to the back, and you can see the knots are done individually, and each one is slightly different than the next one because they're done by hand, and the intensity of the wool and the pull they have, the weaver, makes them look different. Also, the sides are done by hand. that you can see very easily. If you want to buy a real rug, please come to Santa Barbara Design Center and I can gladly help you. Thank you for joining us on Design FYI, Santa Barbara Design Center, Fort and Olive. Today on Appraisals, we have a silk textile from Northwest Persia. It's called jajim, and these jajims are the way the tribal people used to represent their tent and decorate it. And they're very colorful. They used to live in this arid and dry area, and when they came home, they came to the tent, they want to feel homey, warm, and rich. And the colors they are into these textiles reminded them as how beautiful life is and how nice colors are. Let me talk about the colors of this first. It's made of many, many different colors, and they are all natural dyes. This is the roots of the plants they found in their surroundings, starting with indigo. That's a beautiful indigo. They dyed it. The yellow is the most unusual color, second most unusual color actually. Green is most unusual. The yellow is second because it's made of saffron or weld. Saffron is very expensive dye and they don't use it that often. Green is actually a combination of, as green the nature is, there is no natural dye that is green, surprisingly. So green is a combination of saffron and indigo, and is a two dye process and a very expensive one. So green is a rare color to see around. I appraised this piece in the market today between $10,000 to $15,000. If you want to see it in person, please come to Santa Barbara Design Center and enjoy it. See you next week.